Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Justin with AmericanMuscle.com, and today we're taking a closer look at the Kustom Interior Premium Artificial Leather Front and Rear Seat Covers, fitting all 2015 and newer Camaro coupes, not equipped with the 1LE competition seats. Now, these particular options will be a great choice for Camaro owners looking to spice up some base cloth seats, or maybe for leather owners looking to preserve that factory leather while also adding a very unique and very attractive black style with the white accents here, all for right around the low $500 price point. So big features here will be the instant upgrade in not only looks, but also feel with both front and rear covers installed as they are included here with this particular kit. Now, as far as appearance is concerned, well, this one's pretty obvious, right? Now, if you're a base cloth seat owner with your Camaro, adding the Kustom Interiors kit here will instantly bring a classier look and really make the interior pop with a combination of the premium leather-like material, but especially the white contrasting centers here that really do jump out at you with this particular kit. Now, on the other hand, if you are a leather Camaro owner, you have factory leather in your ride, well, I think there's some benefit for you here, as well as maybe you want to preserve that factory leather on your daily without sacrificing the look or quality of feel. If that sounds like you, well then these might be worth the price of admission. Now, no matter what your factory seats are made out of, one of the best features in my opinion here is the quality of fitment with these particular covers. Now, when installed, they do not resemble those baggy parts store kind of one size fits most options, but instead are very form-fitting and look like they could have been installed from the factory. Now, moving into construction, and first up you'll notice that premium artificial leather that makes up both the front and rear covers. And guys, let me tell you, as a leather owner with some of my personal cars, this feels just as good, if not better in some respects, in regards to the cushioniness or the feel. It's very, very plush. Now, that material not only just looks and feels great, but Kustom Interiors also tells us that the surface material here is actually waterproof, which goes back to what we were saying earlier about maybe protecting those factory seats, keeping those spills off it, and again, making these things even more beneficial. Now, I should note that that material, while very durable and waterproof in parts, will still allow the factory heated and cooled seats to function properly if equipped. Also worth noting here, guys, is that the stitching on the sides of the front seats are designed to separate in a way which will still allow those airbags to work properly. Always important, especially when we're talking about things like safety. Now, speaking of that stitching, you'll notice these particular options do include the contrasting white stitching here, in addition to those really bold white center portions for both the top and bottom, both front and back here. And that look is very consistent between the two covers. Now, even though I only have a portion of the kit on the table here with me today, again, I do want to make it perfectly clear, you are going to be receiving both front seats, both bottom and backs, in addition to both rear, bottom, and backs as well. Now, the white contrasting stitching here and white centers is only one of many different color combinations, in addition to pattern combinations on the site here. So I'm absolutely going to encourage you guys to check out some of their other options. Maybe you're looking to incorporate some red or some blue, maybe even a different style altogether. They have you covered, and we have them here on the site, so definitely check them out before making your final decision. Now, moving into pricing, and this could easily be another feature as well, because these options from Kustom Interiors will land right around that low $500 ballpark for both front and rear options, give or take. And when we're talking about things like quality materials, look, fitment, I feel like that price point is very, very fair. Most aftermarket covers that I've handled personally don't offer this level of quality unless you're going with a top-notch kit from Catskins or something like that. But those covers can be well over $1,000, if not more. So the fact that you are getting all of the perks out of this particular kit for right around $500 should be really attractive for a lot of Camaro owners. Install, according to the site, is going to get a strong 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, taking you at least an hour to complete from start to finish. Now, these are slip-on covers, meaning you don't have to disassemble your factory seats. However, it will help to remove the seats in some cases for a proper install. But to give you a better idea of just how these things all come together, let's throw it out to the shop for our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown.
For this install, you will need an impact, a ratchet, an extension, T50 Torx bit, 10mm socket, panel removal tool, and also a pry bar or something to pry your seats up with. What's up guys, today we're going to be doing some seat covers on our Camaro, so let's get started. Alrighty guys, so in order to do this more easily, we're going to go ahead and pull the seats out. Now as far as the back seats, we can completely remove the bottom and rear section of them fairly easily. The front, we're going to go ahead and do some maneuvering around with, but we'll go ahead and start with the back seats now. So these seats are one assembly for the bottom and one assembly for the top, and the bottoms are held on by just some locator clips. So you can go ahead and grab yourself a pry bar or something like a long extension or something like that to just get under the base of the seat and pop these seat cushions out. You just want to be careful not to damage the fabric on your seat itself. So we'll go ahead and pull up here, get our pry bar into the middle of our seat. We'll go ahead and just pop that up and out like so, and you can see your little retainer here. So we'll go ahead and do the same thing for the other side, and we'll get the bottom portion of our seat out. So now that we have that popped up, we can go ahead and just pull our seat out. So now for the upper section of our rear seat, we'll go ahead and pull our release tab here, fold our seat down. Then this seat is just held in on these pivots here, so we can kind of just pull up on it. That is going to be a bit tricky, especially if you've never had this out. They do tend to get a little stuck. So we can work it up slowly. Once you have that out, we'll go ahead and pull this out as well. Go ahead and pull this backrest out. So before we go any further and start to remove our front seats at all, we're going to go ahead and disconnect our battery, because your front seats have airbag harnesses and sensors and plugs on them that may be affected by us unbolting and moving around and jolting, and no one wants to unintentionally set off an airbag or cause an SRS system light or anything like that. So just as a safeguard, go ahead and disconnect your battery. It'll save you a lot of headache down the road. So what we're going to do is go ahead and pull down this fabric panel here in the trunk. Now you should have a hand nut or something right here to hold this panel on. Ours unfortunately is lost from many previous installs. So we'll go ahead and just pull our panel down just like so, and this does flex enough to give you enough room in here. We're going to go ahead and disconnect the negative terminal of our battery. So we'll go ahead and grab our 10mm socket on our ratchet and loosen up our clamp here. Make sure that is good and loose. We'll go ahead and remove our negative terminal. Make sure that is not going to contact our battery at all. Okay. We'll keep that just like that for now, and it might even be a good idea to let it sit for a couple of minutes and kind of power down. Then we can go ahead and move forward with our front seats. Alright guys, so now we're going to come up to our front seats and unbolt them from the chassis of the vehicle. So we're going to grab our T50 Torx bit and a long extension on our impact and go ahead and remove the 2 bolts back here. Now you got one on each rail here. They're kind of straight down. Go ahead and pop these out. There's one. Have our 2 bolts out there. So now that we have our seat unbolted, what we're going to do is kind of push forward and lift to get it released from its hooks. And now our seat is free to be able to move around. Now we're not going to fully remove the seats out of the car, so we'd like to avoid unplugging our harness if at all possible. But what we're going to do is recline our seat back like so. That way we can tilt our seat back enough to have access to the bottom of our seat, which we will need, and not mess with the plug. Now if you wish to unplug that after disconnecting your battery, it's safe to do so. We're just gonna go ahead and leave ours plugged in just for demonstration purposes. All right guys, so now that we have our seats ready to have our covers installed, we've got the bottom of our rear seat up on the table here. We're gonna go ahead and install our bottom seat cover. Now we're gonna match this up. We have our seat belt buckle pass-throughs. It's gonna match up here with our factory ones. So we're gonna lay this out, get it lined up. Now you'll notice these kind of clips on the back here, these are gonna go in place once we get it back on the vehicle. So we're just gonna kind of lay these at the rear and have them accessible like so. And this is mostly a friction fit. To the side, we're gonna get this over the side cover here. Kind of line everything up. Everything's situated. Then we have these straps here that are gonna go under the seat. So we'll go ahead, grab our front clip. And we can go ahead and clip these in. Snap that in place. That's gonna hold our seats. We'll do the same thing for this side. And we have our two center ones as well. We'll go ahead. We're going to pass those through our seat belt buckle holes, just like so. We can flip this up so you can see. Bring this up here. Now these do stretch. You want these to be pretty tight. That kind of holds the tension. Make sure this is sitting how we want it. Now these are going to settle in over time. They're a little stiff from shipping in the factory, so they'll kind of settle in with some heat cycles, get your car out in the sun, stuff like that. Just make sure our sides are pulled down. All right, so now that we have this in place, we'll go ahead and do the seat back. So now we have our backrest portion of our rear seats. We're gonna go ahead and lay our cover over. You notice these clips again. As you can see, they're gonna meet where the seat back and the seat bottom are and kind of just tuck in place. So we just want them at the bottom now. Now we can go ahead and flip this up. Now you do have this opening here in the middle that you want to have line up with the locking latch for your rear seat back. This is just gonna go over top of the seat. Make sure that lines up with your latch. Now securing this is going to be pretty simple. It has these Velcro straps. You just want to pull those tight. They're just going to Velcro to the back of your seat. You have one in the center there. You have one for each side. You want to pull these pretty tight. Just like so. Now one thing to note here is you also have this little opening for your pull tab to release your seat. You want to make sure you push that through so you can still fold your seat down when you need to. Go ahead and pull that through. Make sure that sits nice and flush. And again, these clips, once we install the seats back onto the vehicle, they're going to pull this nice and flush. That's pretty much it for our seat back. Now before we put these back in, we're going to go ahead and start doing our front seats because it's going to be a lot easier before we install the rear ones to go ahead and do the front seats. Alrighty guys, so now we can begin installing the front seat covers. Now what you want to do here is very important. We're going to go ahead and pop the cover off of our release latch for our front seats. Now we're on the passenger side because it's going to be a little bit easier to show you without a steering column and such in your face. So we'll go ahead and grab a trim removal tool. And we can go ahead and pop this cover. These are pretty stiff on here, but you can pop them out. You want to lift your latch. Go ahead and feed this out. It is a bit tricky to get out. they'll come out just like that. So we've got our corresponding seat back cover. Now you want to make sure that your opening for your release latch is on the correct side. In this case, our right side. Driver's side will be your left. So we're going to go ahead and open up the top of our cover here. You don't need to remove the headrest for this because it will go right over it. You want to make sure this is opened. It might Velcro itself back together, but we'll just address that as it comes. You want to make sure this is folded down and out. We can also unzip for more room. We'll go ahead and slide this over our headrest and start getting it in place. And once you have it over, you can pull your headrest up. Line these Velcros up between and on the outside of your headrest posts. We're just going to loosely Velcro those back together for now. We can pull our cover down into position. Now again, we have our seat loose so we can move it a bit. And we're going to go ahead and recline our seat. We can put our headrest back down now that it's Velcroed. That's going to hold it in position. Now once we get this down to the bottom here, you're going to see more of these clips. We're going to have 3 of these locking clips here at the bottom, and what we're going to do is tuck those right in the crease of our seat. Now you will feel when they kind of flip into the middle of the seat and lock themselves in place. That's what you want. Now that we got that done, we'll go ahead and zipper up the other side. And then we also have our flap back here that we'll show you how to latch once we get our seat bottom on. We'll kind of do everything at the bottom. Now once we have this on, we'll go ahead and reinstall that plastic cover over our release latch. So we'll lift this up, get it back into place. Make sure that's all the way in. This is going to be a little bit tight because of the added material. Make sure that goes back into place nicely. Okay. Now we'll go ahead and get our seat bottom into place. So the front here is pretty much just a friction fit, but you want to have your hooks out in the front so you can access those and set that in place. Now you will have 3 more of those little slide clips to go in between your seat, just like your top part had. We'll go ahead and fold those into place. Make sure you fold this edge trim inside of your factory panels. We've got those latched. Now these side clips here, just like we had on our other one, I'm gonna get them straight. And you want those to go inside of your trim panels here. You can just kind of push that back, push those down in through. They will pass through, you just gotta find the right spot. Right, so once you have that pass through, you can go ahead and pull it all the way through. And you can tuck this edge of your trim kind of down to your trim panel here. Just going to give it a cleaner look to have it tucked in the edge there. Then we'll go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. All right, so now this is pretty hard to see from this angle, but what you're going to do is go ahead and connect those clips underneath your seat. Once you have the 2 side ones connected, we'll go ahead and grab these front straps here. We're just going to stretch those back and hook those onto the frame of the seat. Now you want to be mindful of any wiring you have under here for your power seats and stuff. You want to go ahead and find a nice spot. And these have just hooks on them. So we'll go ahead and stretch those back. Hook those onto a solid point under our seat frame. And then while you're under here as well, you can do the same thing for that bottom flap of your seat back. They have hooks as well. Then once you have this one on, you can go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. Then we'll install our headrest covers. So lastly, we can go ahead and install our headrest covers, and they're going to have an access port for our headrest release so we can adjust it. So you want to line that up at the right spot. Then it's just a simple Velcro strap that's going to hold it in place. So we'll go ahead, make sure our Velcro is accessible. That over our headrest. Once you get it about halfway on, you can go ahead and grab your Velcro straps. Use those to kind of help you pull it in place. Make sure you're lined up with your adjuster. Pick that up and just strap your Velcro strap. Then go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. So now that we have our seats all covered in the front, we'll go ahead and line them back up. You have to get your hooks back into place in the front here. We can go ahead and line up our rear. Just like so. And we can go ahead and reinstall our T50 Torx bolts. So we'll go ahead and get our 2 bolts started here. It's very important you get them started by hand first. Go ahead and get our other one started. Once you get them started, we'll go ahead and grab that T50 Torx bit and extension on our impact, and we're just going to go ahead and get these nice and snug. There's no need to go crazy with them. We'll do the same thing for this one. And once you have this side bolted down, you can go ahead and do the same thing for the other side, and then we'll go ahead and reinstall our rear seats. Alrighty guys, so now it's time to install our rear seat. So we've got our seat back in first, as that was the last thing we took out. So we want to install that first. So we're going to line our pivot joints up at their locations here. Go ahead and get those seated back into place. Might take a little bit of effort. Okay, once we have those in though, go ahead and latch that back in position, and then we'll get our seat bottom in position. So now we'll get our seat bottom in position. Now remember, you're going to have to pass your seat belt buckles up through the seat. You want to get those lined up. So a little trick for these seat belt buckles, because they are pretty difficult to get through. So once you get them lined up and close, go ahead and grab your actual seat belt. Go ahead and lock it into place. Then you can use the seat belt itself to go ahead and pull them back through and hold them in place. That's going to go ahead and help you get these all the way through. You can leave these latched while we get the rest of the seat in position. So we'll go ahead and lock this back down in place. Then again, just like with the front seats, we have our little locking tabs here. They're going to go between the seats. Go ahead and push those in. So once you have all of your rear latches here in place, go ahead and unbuckle our seat belts. Make sure everything's locked in, and these again will relax over time with some heat cycles and stuff in your car. Now that we have everything in place, we'll go ahead and reconnect our battery. So now we can go ahead and reconnect our negative battery terminal. Make sure that's seated, and we'll tighten that back down with our 10mm socket on our ratchet. We'll go ahead and get our panel back in place again. You should have little mounting screw here. Fortunately, we don't have ours. There you go. Alrighty guys, that about wraps up our review and install of our custom interior premium artificial leather front and rear seat covers in black with white accents for your 16 current Camaro coupe without 1LE competition seats. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything Camaro, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.